This is one of those heavy situations I don't usually like to talk about. I usually aim for the goofier stories where we just kind of point and laugh at some clownery and some general dog shittery that's going on around the internet. But the situation that's happening with Amouranth is an extremely serious one, and it is one that I'd like to talk about since I've seen some of the worst takes all of humanity's ever concocted surrounding this. Now, for those that don't know, if you haven't been on Twitter today, a lot of clips have been surfacing from Amouranth's stream from last night where she went live. Well, she was already live, but she unmuted during an argument with her husband over the phone. And this troglodyte sounds like an absolutely unhinged maniac. I watched the entire VOD to get the full context surrounding this entire situation, and I can say with a high level of confidence that this is an actual abusive lunatic. Now, before getting into the clips, I want to make it known that I'm basing that on more than just the phone call argument. Obviously, anyone with ears is going to reach the same conclusion because he comes across extremely abusive in the phone calls as well. But she goes further, showing some of the damage he's done to the house in fits of rage. For instance, she said she locked herself in her room one time, and in response, he kicked the door in and shows the damage to the door, how it's all fucked up, it's now missing like the hinge and everything, and then shows damage to a nearby wall, and then also shows text messages that she received from him, threatening to financially ruin them because she wasn't replying to him fast enough. Now, last quick note before getting into the clips, I'm not Amouranth's PR manager. I'm not here to change your mind if you don't like her or her content, but you need to accept that just because you don't like someone's content, that doesn't mean that they're deserving of treatment like this. Abuse isn't okay in any circumstance. Just because you might not be a fan of her doesn't mean that you can like wiggle your finger and celebrate that she's miserable or something. That's so fucked up. I've already seen a ton of disgusting worms blaming her for all of this and being happy that she's being abused because they're not a fan of her streams or the fact she has an OnlyFans. It's absolutely fucking despicable shit.
Exactly. Because I'm gonna let you say what you think you heard. But then I'm gonna say what I thought I said. But you cannot interrupt mine because I'm not gonna interrupt you.
What are you saying? Why did you say you were gonna kill my dogs?
Leave the house.
Okay, I can leave the. You know what? Actually, I shouldn't leave the house because my dogs are here.
We'll take the dogs and leave.
The man's voice you're hearing on the phone that sounds like a 9-year-old getting his balls squeezed at the doctor during a physical with that helium-high, screaming, screeching voice, that's her husband, and he's melting down over an argument they had earlier. And I'm going to tell you what it's about, but you're not going to believe me. I watched the whole VOD and I can confirm, based on everything I've seen here, this argument was because she didn't hear something he said. That simple. So he had asked her a question, she didn't hear it, and said, I didn't know you asked a question, basically. She said that, oh, you didn't ask me that question, but he believed he did. So her saying, you didn't ask me that, he took as a personal insult, and it led to this massive blow-up. That's what started this whole thing. Because she didn't fully hear the question, so didn't know what was asked. And in response to that, in order to prove a point, he threatened to kill her dogs. Totally reasonable thing from a rational person. I'll go ahead and play his side of that statement.
Why are you pausing? You didn't ask a question. You said a statement. Did you say that? No?
I tried to tell you
Are
what
you
I
saying you
heard.
did not say that? Are you saying you did not say that?
I tried to tell you what I heard from you. And then you called me a liar.
Then you tell me, what did you say? No, I did. I said it on purpose. I said it to show you how easily distracted you are. There was no condition. You're lying. You're literally lying to me. I said this. Stop. I said, you're going to tell me what you said? And if you lie or interrupt my part, I'm carrying dogs. That's exactly what I said.
So Big Bang Theory over here hatched the genius idea, a galaxy brain scheme, to prove that she wasn't hearing everything he said. He then threatened her dog's life. His whole chess master checkmating move here was, I'm going to threaten your dogs because I know you're going to focus on that as opposed to the other stuff I've said. You know, the same response everyone would have, right? Oh, you're not listening to me? I'm gonna go kill your dogs. Oh, well, you heard that? Weird. You know, like, how dumb can you be? This man is just an actual psychopath. Obviously, she's gonna focus on the thing where you're threatening her dog's life out of nowhere. He was upset because she didn't hear the question and then instead said you didn't ask it. If he ever even asked it in the first place, you know, there's no telling for sure. I wasn't fucking there. I wasn't a fly on the wall. But he's mad because she didn't hear the question. And then in order to prove his point that she just didn't hear the question, he threatens her dog's life to show her that she focuses on emotionally distressing things more than his other statements. That's, you fucking dummy. Everyone's gonna be focusing on emotionally distressing things when it's a goddamn threat.
And I said that because I knew when I say that, instantly you don't forget what you said and what I said. Both.
Why do you have to say you're gonna kill my dog? What does that help anything?
Because, stop. Zoom out. Because you weren't understanding my point.
What? What are you even talking about? You brought up the dogs out of nowhere.
Exactly.
So
To
what?
prove a point.
What point is it proving?
See? You're proving my point right now.
What? I'm asking you. I don't even understand what you're saying to me.
I know. That's my point.
This man really thinks he's smart. You can tell just by the way he carries himself in this conversation. He really thinks he's some intellectually enlightened being who just found atheism for the first time on Reddit or something. Like, this guy talks like the most pretentious douchebag you'll ever hear. As if his point is the only ever accurate one, and he's so benevolent, he even talks about how he's forgiven her for not hearing him sometimes. Like, what a saint. But I want to quickly address something a lot of people keep bringing up. The sub 5 IQ take of, well, she shouldn't have aired this publicly. Alright, Dr. Phil. Jesus Christ. Let's tackle that for a moment. Let's go over the reasons why she might want to air this publicly. This man has access to all of her accounts. He has all of her passwords, and in this conversation even threatens to make fake tweets to ruin her career, and even goes as far as to typing them up, but doesn't hit send. She is basically his prisoner, because she has tried to go to authorities, at least based on everything I've seen in this VOD, and she has recorded other conversations, but in response, she had her shit broken by him and had her phones taken away by him.
Literally got physical with me. And then, like, fucking tried to take my phones away because he was gonna destroy my PC when I recorded it. Now he's just trying to say bullshit because he knows he fucked up. He just admitted he was lying. Fucking asshole.
So she tried gathering evidence on her own. It was destroyed. She tried calling the police. Apparently that didn't go super well either because he took her phones away. Like, what the fuck else is she supposed to do? I think this was a very good course of action here, and publicly airs it all out so that way this can help her in her case in getting away from him. Now, he didn't know this was being streamed, obviously. He was under the impression she had stepped away to take the phone call, but she came back after, I'm guessing, the threats against her dogs, and just unmuted and did it publicly. And I do think it was a good, I think it was a good decision.
I have the tweet drafted. I'm just gonna send it now.
What are you sending?
The false fucking swatting of your husband, and then having your fucking assistant do it too.
You literally tried to take my phone. I got scared because you got physical, and I called.
Yeah, but I'm tweeting it now, so good
But
luck.
so you're lying on my Twitter. That's gonna look real good.
Sure, whatever. I don't care. I'm tweeting it.
You're...
I'm Amouranth's assistant, or I'm Amouranth's husband, and she is swatting me and calling the cops and calling it a false abuse claim.
I didn't say you abused me. I called the cops because you literally were on top of me trying to take my phones from me. You're literally just lying on my Twitter.
Yeah, I don't care. I built the Twitter.
Yeah, you used my body to build this empire.
And I'm gonna get your OnlyFans banned too.
So here he is admitting that he was just going to lie about a story to ruin her career and then get her OnlyFans banned as well. So you can clearly see that he had access to all of her shit. And a lot was revealed here. The reason why Amouranth wasn't more public about her marriage is because he didn't let her.
I've been wanting to tell people that, like, let's just stream together. Just tell them that we're fucking married. Because it's like, our relationship would be better if we just stream them. And it's fighting all the time. But no, mister, don't say that because it's going to ruin the business model. It's not time yet. Fuck yourself. I'm done with it.
The reason why she started doing hot tub streams and committing the hot tub streams is because he forced her to. So a lot of this shit came out about how awful of a person this guy is and how controlling and how scummy and shitty he is.
It's literally, I was waiting for a response. You're just calling me crazy then.
I didn't say you were crazy.
No. Dude, I'm gonna give you one last chance. I'm gonna irrevocably fucking destroy everything. I can tell you something that shatters you forever, and I'll start tweeting about it too.
But what? Why would you want to do that? I don't understand.
Because you are literally telling me I did not say something that I literally said.
That should be okay to let me.
You're just right here. I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. You're about to lose your entire fucking life in terms of everything that's been built because you're too obstinate to just merely accept that you didn't hear a thing. But I'm already very forgiving about that.
This man is so insecure, sensitive, and embarrassing that he just keeps believing that because she said you didn't say that, he is taking it as an insult against his intelligence and he won't stand for it. He believes that she is calling him crazy. And she might not be calling him crazy, but I, as well as everyone else who has seen these clips, is. This man is fucking unhinged. He is crazy. This man is nuts. And he's downright dangerous, I would say. To be threatening the lives of his dogs, also makes threats against our horses about how he's going to sell them to meat packaging plants or some shit. Like, the man is not a safe person to be around. Now, one other thing I'd like to get into before showing some more clips is the brain-rotted take that keeps floating around about how this is all manufactured drama and it's fake for the sake of exposure and clout for Amouranth. And I understand why people like to take everything with a grain of salt. I think it's a very good thing to always really try and hyper-analyze everything to make sure that what you're getting is legitimate, which is why I'm so surprised that after doing that, people still arrived at the conclusion that it's fake. You'd have to be clinically stupid to think that this is fake, because in order to reach that conclusion, you'd have to ask yourself, why is it fake? What would be the goal? What would Amouranth gain from this? And let's break that thought process down. Why would she fake it? She's already reached like the pinnacle of internet success. She makes over $2 million a month from streaming and OnlyFans. Like, that doesn't even count like merch or anything. So she's making plenty of money, so she doesn't need money, so that wouldn't be a reason. She doesn't need exposure because she's one of the most popular streamers on Twitch and most popular OnlyFans models, so that probably wouldn't make any sense. So why would it be fake? There's nothing to gain. There's only things to lose because now it's public that she's married. So that would be a detriment. Even though it's something she wanted to share, there are those delusional weirdos who believe that by donating money to her, they'd get to date her. Like, that's obvious. So this coming out doesn't help her in any way. There'd be no reason why she'd fake this for anything because she has nothing to gain from it. It's just a nonsensical take from people that clearly haven't thought about it for even an iota of a second.
Man, we're in the house now. It's like, the next time when I say plan, do it. Dumb fuck, do you understand? Like, what plan talking about? It's like, fuck this, I'm calling you. So I disappeared from stream. Takes a call. So I can't, tell them I can't talk right now. We're getting Wi-Fi. I don't care. You get the call now. Last chance. About to dump your luggage. You know, from my hotel room. But throwing your stupid merch off the balcony. Proceeding to ditch your stuff. You don't need the makeup or the live view, like the stream epic. Or the clothes, huh? Deleting social media in 1 minute. Buying options that expire and blasting the cash. About to shut down bank account, your bank account too. Lag is terrible. Stream is garbage. It's like, about to delete Twitter in 30 seconds. If you don't call me, my phone's literally off, right? I'm just like, it literally died. Gonna donate $250,000 to Polo Missy. It's like a bird sanctuary he likes. In the next 2 minutes, $250K gone. We'll donate.
Pretty alarming stuff here. Just look at these texts. The man is draining their finances faster than a crypto bro investing in the latest shitcoin. Just blasting all their money down the drain. Just fucking shitting it away. Because she wasn't replying to him in a reasonable time. It should be obvious that this isn't healthy behavior from a sane individual. But if you need more evidence of that, let's go later into her stream where she starts showing some of the house itself and some of the damage that he's caused.
Script of LUTH. You know what you are.
I would lock my door, but he broke that too. So,
Best advice I can give
that was
during
the
my
day
divorce
that
my
he
grandma
fucking
gave.
took the
This
the
too
phone
shall
from
pass.
Me, both phones from me. And so I ran in here to call the cops, and he literally kicked the door in and broke. Like, this doesn't even have a hinge anymore.
What an absolute nightmare. And you want to know what's really sick about the whole thing? There are people saying that she absolutely deserves it because she does OnlyFans. Can you believe how fucked up that is? And also, a lot of the things people shit on Amouranth for, like pretending to be single to get money from simps or whatever, isn't even her idea, apparently. It's her husband, who is controlling every aspect of her life, it seems. He has access to all of her accounts. He's the one who comes up with her schedule and tells her what to do on stream and all of that. So a lot of the things that she gets shit on is actually her husband doing it, making her do it. And yet Amouranth is the one that has to roll with all the punches. And then once she turns off stream after being insulted all day by a ton of people, she then has her husband insulting her and yelling and screaming at her. Fucking unbelievable. The set of circumstances here are so incredibly sad. Like, just genuinely awful. And the stream ends in a really concerning way. I'll go ahead and play the ending of the stream to you.
Hello? Hey. I haven't gotten any calls. What are you talking about? Why would you ask if I'm taking
This is a scene right out of a horror movie. The doors slowly opening up behind her, someone off camera asking if she's taken her medication. I believe it's her assistant. But even Amouranth is confused, like, why are you asking about the medication? You know, like, that's irrelevant to everything. So the assistant knew what was going on here, and for some reason asked about her taking medication, I guess implying that, you know, maybe she's having, like, some kind of mental breakdown. But that's a fucked up thing to even insinuate, because she's not having just some, like, mental breakdown. Her husband is yelling and screaming at her over an extremely minor issue and threatening to ruin her entire career over it. And making threats against her dogs and her horses. Like, this isn't just some mental breakdown kind of thing where she, you know, she's off her meds, so now she's crazy. Like, her husband has made a massive fucking threat, not only to her career, but the things she cares about. It's a very serious thing that most people would respond to in the same way. She's just doing it live, probably because she felt like she was out of other options. So I think it's a really weird thing for her assistant to ask. And the door opening behind her, I think, is eerie. I think that is scary. She hasn't posted since this has happened. Hopefully everything's okay, but no one knows as of right now. But I think this is an extremely important situation to talk about because for some reason, people are dismissing it as no big deal, which blows my mind. Like, this is a legitimate case of abuse on stream here. And I don't know why people aren't saying it as such. Granted, most people are, but there still is a community of people that still think it's not an issue and that it's her fault. Why is she staying with an abuser? You know, she brought this on herself. If you're in a toxic relationship, just leave. All things spoken by people that have never even felt the touch of another human being. The absolute worst takes imaginable. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. So yep. There are some questions we may never know the answer to. What happens when we die? What came before the Big Bang? Why am I so short? Why did Dr. Disrespect get banned from Twitch at the height of his popularity in 2020? Dr. Disrespect was the face of Twitch, one of the largest streamers on the platform and one of the largest streamers just in general in the world. And out of nowhere in 2020, he received a permanent ban with no elaboration from Twitch's side nor his. Though he has been somewhat vocal about suing Twitch as a result of getting banned, but he's never explained what the ban was for in the first place. So it's always just been this mystery that's plagued the minds of scholars for the last 4 years. A mystery on par with Area 51. And now, last night, there was a new development in this situation. Now, I want to be very clear, these are still allegations here, but a former Twitch employee on a random Friday night just came out and dropped a fucking bombshell claiming that Dr. Disrespect got banned because he was caught sexting a minor using the Twitch Whisper system and trying to meet up with them at TwitchCon. An extremely surprising statement that jump-scared the entire streaming community. Like, First of all, I didn't even know people used the Twitch Whisper system. That in and of itself was a shock. Twitch Whispers is more archaic than AIM and more useless than flavored toilet paper. It hardly functions. It's a joke of a messaging service. But anyway, these are obviously massive allegations against Dr. Disrespect. Now, they didn't provide any evidence or proof of the claims. However, a lot of other parties, like journalists, came forward saying that they had heard similar things from Twitch employees. Like, their trusted sources had told them similar stories about the reason behind Dr. Disrespect's ban. But again, no evidence has been provided publicly for all of this. Right now, it's just a lot of people saying, like, this is what we heard too. Dr. Disrespect did reply to a tweet talking about it a little bit, saying, "Jake, seriously, I get it. It's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract." The vast majority of people were pretty unsatisfied with that response from the doc because it's a bunch of hooey, like mumbo-jumbo legal lawyer speak that doesn't actually say anything. Like, instead of saying he didn't do what the claims are, like he didn't sext a minor, he said no wrongdoing was acknowledged, not that no wrongdoing happened. And then mentions that Twitch paid out the whole contract, which I think the reason he threw that in there is to try and illustrate that Twitch ended up settling with him and paid out his whole contract, which must mean that he was in the right legally, I think is what he's getting at, but it's so obtuse and still doesn't shut down the claim that has been made against him. So most people were left scratching their head wondering, well, is it true or not? So about an hour ago, he did make a follow-up tweet here saying, "Listen, I'm obviously tied to legal obligations from the settlement with Twitch, but I just need to say what I can since this is the fucking internet. I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled, nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. Elden Ring Monday." He definitely provides a little more clarity with this statement. However, I have to wonder what legal obligations have got him like fucking strangled like Homer Simpson around Bart Simpson's neck that are preventing him from just saying he didn't sext a minor if he didn't. He's still kind of talking around it, saying it's been probed and settled, nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, he was paid. Instead of just like outright coming out with a fucking iron fist saying, this is baloney, this is a load of horseradish, absolute fish paste, that's not true. Whatever this legal settlement with Twitch was in the Thunderdome here, it's prevented him from being able to talk directly about this claim, it seems, which is so fucking odd. Now, I think it's important I mention just how uncommon it is for Twitch to permanently ban a streamer of any size. Period. That's more rare than a total solar eclipse. It just doesn't happen often at all. There was a streamer who went live and she goatsied herself directly at the camera on Twitch, only got a 72-hour ban. A year or two ago, there was a streamer who had full-blown sex on stream and she only got a 72-hour ban. There's so many streamers that also have like 10 or even 12 bans to their name and still get to stream on Twitch without issue. So a permaban doesn't happen often, and it certainly doesn't happen often to the biggest streamer on their platform, and Dr. Disrespect was under a big contract with Twitch at the time of his ban. So for them to permanently ban him at the height of his popularity while he was the face of their platform with a big contract from them, it had to be something big. And the theory I subscribe to, and the most commonly accepted theory for why he was banned, was that it must have been some kind of big contract dispute. This time period was a wacky one, quite quirky for sure. It's when Mixer was still around, God rest its soul. It went out with a sad, pathetic whimper, a little wet fart into the wind, but at the time, it was a juggernaut, and it was scaring Twitch. It had recently bought Ninja off of Twitch to Mixer, it bought Shroud, and there was a little bit of a panic from Twitch, who then started issuing massive contracts to streamers on their platform to keep them there and away from Mixer. So the idea was that maybe Dr. Disrespect was talking with Mixer about a huge contract buyout, and it pissed Twitch off, so they banned him and wiped their ass with that contract, which led to Dr. Disrespect suing them for it, but Twitch in the settlement made sure that he kept his mouth shut about it. That was the main theory most people believed, again, myself included, and now this has come out. And again, there's no evidence to support the claims, but with a handful of other people coming forward saying they heard a similar reason behind his ban, it's got a lot of people believing that it must be accurate. Now, if it is true, it does also make Twitch look pretty bad here, in my opinion, because this is a situation that deals with child safety on their platform, and if the face of their platform was sexting a minor through their Whispers service, I think Twitch has a responsibility to explain what they're going to do going forward to ensure that kind of shit doesn't happen again. Though I guess there could again be some real fucky nonsense in the legal proceedings that followed. I have no clue, really. But in the event that it is true, it still makes it seem like Twitch was covering up for the face of their platform being a predator. And that's not a good look for Twitch. So I guess it's also possible that Twitch wanted to bury this as well to not take some kind of reputational hit in the public eye. Especially, I guess, during 2020 when Mixer was around. So I guess that's possible. I do, however, think now that this allegation has come out, whether it's true or false, I think this is going to be the start of the information around the ban coming forward, either from Twitch or Dr. Disrespect here, because this is such a massive allegation. So someone's going to come forward to set the record straight one way or the other is what I think will probably happen here, but I could be totally wrong. It could be another 4 fucking years before there's even a peep about the Dr. Disrespect Twitch ban mystery. But something I've seen a lot of other people talking about is they're surprised that Twitch was reading Whispers in the first place. I don't think anyone should be caught off guard by that. In the current day and age, everything you send through any service can easily be accessed by that service and is most likely being accessed by that service. All of your data is constantly being harvested and sold. I thought everyone knew that by this point. So in this case, Twitch having access to the Whispers and reading them and then taking action from them isn't like an unheard of concept at all. It's just a matter of not that's the reality of what happened, if this is a true claim or not. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over where everything's at right now. It's kind of just a complete mess, so I guess we'll see as the story develops. That's really about it. See ya. Cody is a YouTuber that probably doesn't need an introduction. I don't need to read the Wikipedia article explaining to you who he is and lore dumping. I'm sure most of you are at least loosely familiar with his content. He's been very large on the platform for years now. And recently, some disturbing allegations have come out against him. Now, the allegations against him aren't exactly brand new. They're not, fresh off the battle bus, hot drop in here out of nowhere. They've actually existed for a little while now, but never actually received a lot of coverage or a lot of attention. Kind of just been sidelined with people not knowing about it or not talking about it until yesterday when another YouTuber named D'Angelo Wallace gave some amazing coverage breaking down the entire situation here and going over everything that Cody is accused of.
Someone has been alleging for years now that you, one of the largest commentary creators on YouTube, knowingly committed a crime against her when she was a minor. But YouTubers and viewers alike are ignoring and discrediting these allegations solely because the person making them happens to be an unlikable woman online, Tana Mojo.
Yikes. Yeah, that's some pretty awful shit right there. That's a huge allegation that actually has a lot of evidence backing it up, which D'Angelo Wallace covers in great detail in this video. It's not some imaginary nothing burger that someone squeaked out between their butt cheeks to try and ruin Cody Co. It's a serious accusation that appears to have a lot of evidence about it.
I'm not here to accuse you of committing a crime in this video because I can't do that based on someone else's allegations. Nobody can definitively take these allegations as proof, but at the same time, they should still be looked at and not treated as an open secret and swept under the rug like you've been doing for so many years now.
I think that's a great point. Even though these are still allegations with nothing that's been proven, since there is so much supporting evidence around the claims, it definitely is something that needs to be examined thoroughly because it is a huge deal.
And speaking of this podcast, about a month ago, she hosted a live episode in front of an audience, and the conversation turned to you.
Who's the smallest you've ever had sex with?
Oh my God, no one look at me, Cody Co. I can say that. I was literally 17, I can say that.
This clip started making the rounds and people were understandably perturbed because if Tana Mojo was 17, you would have been 25. So people started speculating and Tana decided to set the record straight.
I hooked up with Cody Co when I was 17 and he was 25.
I'm going to go ahead and break down these numbers here because it seems like people are starting to struggle with math, like teriology starting to pop off with 1 × 1 equaling 2 and all of that. I'm just going to go ahead and explain this. 17 is less than 18. Thus, that is below the age of consent and is a crime. And I already have seen comments on this situation about 17, who gives a fuck? That's basically 18 anyway. And it's this same dogshit, brain dead, concerning mentality, like your hard drive needs to be investigated type shit that we saw with Dr. Disrespect, where they're like, no one should really care that Dr. Disrespect was talking inappropriately with a 17-year-old. Even though, once again, you absolute fucking Cro-Magnon, there is no evidence that Dr. Disrespect ever talked to a 17-year-old. Not even he said that. It has only ever been stated as a minor. Everyone around Dr. Disrespect never mentioned 17. It's actual delusional Fantasyland Narnia type shit where people are trying to defend him by saying it was actually a 17-year-old, 364 days old. Which is absolute fucking barnacles. Like, that's a load of fish paste. And even still, it's bad. I don't know how we've devolved so much where all of a sudden 17 is now something people try and justify. So like in this case right here, you'll have some drooling, stinky, bumbling morons in the comments saying how it's not a big deal because 17 shouldn't be an issue. You know, like, age of consent over in this region is actually 16, so really, he waited till she was old. Like, it's craziness. It's actually craziness. It is a crime. It is a minor. Still, it's bad. Like, I don't know why that needs to be explained all of a sudden. Now, something D'Angelo Wallace does make a point of here is pointing out that Tana Mongeau is not well liked. I am sure if you've been on YouTube for any length of time, you've heard her name and seen a lot of less than stellar things about her. She has a history of lying and putting on a lot of bad stuff and bad behavior. However, when it comes to this claim, this doesn't appear to be something that she's just lying about for clout to try and elevate her platform on the back of Cody Ko's good name or anything like that. This is a story that's been told even a few years in the past about this situation here. So this isn't something that she just pulled out of thin air. This is actually an allegation that has existed for a long time that is only just now starting to surface.
She claims that not only were you fully aware of her age at the time, but someone even tried to stop you and you went ahead anyway.
There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up.
To be clear, 17 is under the age of consent in many states, including Florida, where Playlist Live used to take place. So this means that Tana Mongeau is accusing you of statutory rape, and she's not trying to hide that.
This isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Remember how Tana said that fellow YouTuber Gabby Hanna tried to stop you before everything allegedly went down? Well, did you know that Gabby is actually on record telling the exact same story several years ago?
One time, I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she like looks a little older, she's underage, watch it. And he's like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
This is really, really bad.
Really, really bad indeed. Pardon my potty mouth here, but this is fucking disgusting. Like, this is by far the most compelling piece of evidence presented because this is a completely separate third-party individual coming forward now with the same story years ago. Exactly how Tana described it. Finding this clip was huge. I don't even know how it was unearthed. Huge props for finding this ancient artifact because apparently it had been scrubbed from like everywhere. I don't even know how you would have even gone about finding something like this, but I really think it is an important piece to this story. It's a very strong piece of evidence, and it should hopefully showcase that this isn't just something Tana is making up on the spot for attention or anything like that. This is something that has been talked about for years. There's a lot of comments that get shown in the video with people shitting on Tana for bringing this up, like, oh, this is prehistoric. Why would you ever bring this up now? You just want attention, you absolute harpy. Oh, who cares? This is bullshit. It's all a lie anyway. All you do is lie. Liar, liar, plants for hire. You harlot. Those kind of comments, like unhinged people about this. And I really think that this Gabby Hanna clip that's been provided should shut that garbage down. Of course, it doesn't prove 100%, the authenticity of everything. As D'Angelo Wallace also explains, these are still allegations. But that is a pretty substantial piece of evidence there that should at least show why this needs to be talked about and should absolutely be addressed directly by Cody.
People make accusations all the time, specifically regarding things that are very difficult to prove or disprove, unfortunate as that may be. But when somebody makes an allegation and they say they have a witness, and that witness can be found telling the exact same story years before any of this came out, that's not something I can just ignore. In a situation that cannot be proven, corroboration by a third party goes a long way. I'm not accusing you of committing a crime, but even if what Tana says is false, your silence is still grossly incompetent at best.
It really is a pretty bad strategy here. This isn't something John Madden would draw up in the playbook. Burying his head in the sand and hoping that the storm blows through doesn't exactly work in a situation like this. I mean, I guess it has up till this point, since so few people were aware of it, but now that it's being talked about more and more, I do think that he's going to need to come forward about all of it. There is quite a bit of time in the video dedicated to the community's response to the allegations, because it is bad how, like, viewers have responded to all of this. Basically, and it is a good point that D'Angelo Wallace made, because Tana Mongeau is widely disliked by the broader YouTube audience, when she was the one putting these claims out there, people attacked her, like dogpiled her for saying things like this. Like, they jumped on her like she had just, killed a puppy in front of them. Like, people responded to her in the worst possible way with these allegations. And Tana made a really good point where she said if this was any other YouTuber she was talking about, one that wasn't as highly regarded as Cody, the response would be completely different, where she'd be getting sympathetic messages and support for coming forward with her experience. But because it's Cody, it's been a biblical smackdown in the comments against her, which is just like a crazy response to something like this. I mean, there were some lunatics there, like genuinely hateful people saying like the most misogynistic shit you could find in the comment section about this because she dared come forward with her experience and talk about that situation. Now, again, yes, they are allegations. Nothing has been proven, but there is a lot of evidence here that should at the very least get a response from Cody Co about all of this. And it's not like he's not aware of what's happening. As pointed out in this video, he is seemingly censoring his YouTube comment section.
And now you're choosing censorship. On your YouTube channel, where you've been pumping out content nearly every day now, I couldn't find a single comment on your last video about this situation. Not even one. Comparing that to the comment section on your Instagram, where every single comment I saw was about this, it's clear that you're heavily censoring your audience on YouTube.
I actually went and checked this myself because this is a Lego build that you can follow along with at home. I went to his latest upload and clicked newest in the comment section because surely you'd see some now after this is being blown up into a huge story. But even when filtering on his newest upload by newest comments, I still only found a couple of comments that referenced this. So it really does seem like it's being heavily censored in the YouTube comments. Because with how big the story is, you would expect a lot of them, especially when you look at his Instagram. But somehow, nothing on YouTube? Yeah, that's very suspicious. That definitely smells like he is censoring the comments there. So it's not like he doesn't know what's going on here. Tana also said that he had reached out at some point kind of about this, saying like, are we good? So it's not something that he's just unaware of, and that's why he hasn't addressed it. D'Angelo Wallace also points out how he's responded to things in the past, like he paywalled an apology for like an old clip that surfaced where he was using a slur. So he's talking about like the history of responding poorly to situations that Cody finds himself in. And then he brought up this, which I'd never heard of.
Not many people know that you've already lost fans over an eerily similar topic. You used to frequently feature and promote your college friend Colby Leachman in your videos, until it came out that during your school days, Leachman's university put him on probation for, as a United States District Judge would later put it, the non-consensual videotaping of a sex act with another student, showing the video to other people, lying to the police about the video, and behaving horribly to that individual and at least one other woman. To make matters worse, worse, the woman in the video also alleged that Leachman drugged her before the recording and that she hadn't actually consented to anything at all. You had this man in your videos. You were telling us to follow him on Instagram, and at some point you did wise up, so he's no longer part of your content, but he still seems like he's very much a part of your friend group. From the continued hangout since then to inviting him to your wedding just last year, people are under the impression that you're best friends with someone who, at best, committed an illegal sex act and at worst is an alleged rapist. And no matter how many times people rediscover this information over the years, you refuse to say anything at all.
That is baffling to me. Like, it's one thing to be friends with someone who turns out to be a monster, but once you learn that they're a monster, that's where it should stop. I've said this before. If my best friend, Matt, turned out to have, like, a secret double life, you know, a Jekyll and Hyde situation where Matt goes out there and he does something truly heinous, I would cut them out of my life. I wouldn't be able to go forward being friends with someone like that. You know, giving him a fist bump saying, hey, we're still bubble buddies, bro. Like, I couldn't do that. So it's so weird to me that Cody can, and when people have talked about it in the past, apparently Cody has just ignored it. That is very, very odd.
I haven't seen a single channel over 1 million subscribers do so much as acknowledge that this situation exists. And I'm not talking about channels that never would have discussed something like this either. I mean the same channels that were rightfully calling out people like Dr. Disrespect for texting a minor, which are the same channels that are now completely ignoring a scenario with an even bigger creator being accused of doing something much worse.
D'Angelo Wallace makes a point a couple times in this video about the silence on this subject being staggering, considering in the YouTube ecosystem there's tons of commentary channels that'll cover a wide variety of topics, sometimes rumors that aren't nearly this serious, you know, like a 2-part docuseries on that time Markiplier allegedly pooped without peeing. Or, in my case, I'll make a whole rant going over how aliens probably aren't visiting us via theoretical warp drives to haunt our boners. And yet, somehow, a story that's this serious just slips through the cracks and didn't have many people talking about it until very recently. So I'd like to at least take a quick moment here to explain why I hadn't covered it. Now, I did hear the whispers about this Cody Co allegation about a week ago now, where someone in stream chat had mentioned, hey, have you heard what Cody Co apparently did with Tana Mojo? And on stream I asked what they were talking about because I hadn't heard shit about that. Eventually another chatter explained that I could find more information about it on Reddit because a conversation was starting to develop around those allegations, so I made like a note of it and then went to bed. The following day I got home pretty late and then went to follow up on things from the previous night, because sometimes during stream I'll make like tabs about what people are telling me to look up. I don't do react content on stream or anything anymore, so if it's like a video that people are recommending I check out to get caught up on something or whatever, I'll make a tab for that video and then watch it when I get back to the following day. And when it came to the Cody Co thing with the Reddit post, by the time I got to it, it was deleted. So I kind of assumed that maybe the claims were just baloney, and I didn't see a whole lot of chatter about it. I saw a couple of tweets that loosely talked around it, vaguely, and I just didn't look into it deeper than that. And I recognize now that that was a mistake, so I'm sorry for that. But I just didn't find a lot of information at the time, until, of course, last night when D'Angelo Wallace posted the video covering all of this. So I know the speculation has been made that the reason people aren't talking about the Cody Co situation is because he's a channel that a lot of people respect and is friends with a lot of the community. So no one wants to speak out against their friend or a channel that they respect so much, thus they're trying to help, you know, bury it or not let it, you know, erupt into the mainstream. For me, that wasn't the case. When I went looking for the info after that stream, I didn't find anything, and I didn't do a big enough dive on it to access it, so I just kind of stopped looking, which, again, was a mistake, clearly. I've talked about Cody Co's content in the past. I've liked his content. I respected him as a content creator, but I'd never say that we were friends or anything. I went on his podcast one time, and I think we only ever talked in Twitter DMs once as well. We weren't exactly like inseparable friends, you know, the best of pals and buddies or anything. Like, I imagine if we walked by each other in a crowded mall, we'd do one of these to each other, and that'd probably be the end of it. This isn't some kind of story that I was avoiding or anything like that. I just truly didn't do enough digging on it because, as D'Angelo Wallace does mention, this story has been pretty successfully buried for the most part, where a lot of people just weren't aware of it, and I didn't do due diligence to become aware of it. But luckily, D'Angelo Wallace did, and created this great video going over all of it. So I wanted to talk about this because obviously it's a very serious situation. Cody Co absolutely should come forward to explain all of it, and if there is another side to this story, tell it. If it's wrong, set the record straight. It's a very upsetting story here that at the very least needs to be addressed by Cody publicly. This can't be another paywalled apology situation or anything like that. This should definitely be something that he comes forward and actually talks about. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Nikocado Avocado has set a new world record for YouTuber response time for drama. This was a pretty impressive speedrun. Within a few hours of my video being up, he had his entire response filmed and then posted this morning. So very impressive speed there. And there's a few things I want to talk about, so let's just go ahead and dive in. First of all, it's entirely in character. It's kind of like in the Suicide Squad movie where Jared Leto was constantly being the Joker, even off-set, so he was sending his co-stars like used condoms and dead pig carcasses. That's kind of what Nikocado Avocado has done. He is constantly playing his character. He has become the Joker of mukbangs. He is never out of character anymore, it seems. So this response is not him being genuine or taking it seriously. It's him playing his character and completely misunderstanding what I was saying in my video. He spends the majority of the 41 minutes of this response video eating, because he does a mukbang during it, and asking, who is this? Who are you? Does anyone know this person? If I had $1 for every time he asked, who is this, I would have enough money to afford 1,500 pizzas and do my own fucking nutty mukbang. I never really understood that perspective of, this person's not famous enough for me to care, therefore everything they say is worthless. He makes it sound like because he doesn't know who I am, everything I've said is completely irrelevant. And it's fine that he doesn't know anything about me. I expect that. I'm a fucking YouTuber. I'm an actual Z-lister, an internet content creator. I don't expect to go into a room and all of a sudden everything goes quiet as people drop champagne glasses that shatter on the floor because they're just blown away by my presence. Like, oh my god, do you know who that is? That's Charles White. Did you see his newest video where he was holding a rubber penis and throwing around a fleshlight? Holy shit, that's Charles White. I don't expect that. So I just don't really get why that's like one of the main things he keeps reiterating in this video is he doesn't know who I am. I don't know why that's such a strong point. Like, I don't know who this is. Do you know who this is? This guy's just so fucking, you know, not famous. Gross. Not famous guy. Who is this? But anyway, aside from him constantly mentioning that, there are some things that he does bring up that I think are definitely worth talking about. But first of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Nick. It looks like his broken ribs are healing pretty well because he starts this video by stomping into the room. And I also checked his TikTok. He's been going kind of hard, so it looks like his broken ribs seem to be doing better now.
Fiddlesticks! Who is this?
I remember when my mom broke a couple of her ribs, she genuinely couldn't walk for like a month. She was miserable. But luckily, Nick seems to be healing at an accelerated rate. He must be like Wolverine from the X-Men, so that's good to see. In regards to his broken ribs, in his response video, he said I was completely lying and that his broken ribs had nothing to do with weight gain, which surprised me because I actually got that information from one of his recent videos. I'll just go ahead and play the clip.
And before you make fun of me, please try to put yourself in my shoes. I cracked my ribs. Bitch! Fuck this fucking air sack from coughing excessively for over 2.5 months and my obesity, all 350 pounds of force. Ouch!
I didn't reach into my butthole and pull this out of nowhere. I got the information from him, so I don't understand why in his response video he makes it sound like I'm lying about so many things. Like he himself said his cracked ribs were the result of coughing for the last 2 months and his obesity, 350 pounds of pressure or whatever he said there. I didn't make that claim. I didn't make that up. It came from him, and you can just click on this video and it's right in the intro. So I don't know why he would say something like that in the response video. It also doesn't really sit right to me that in this response video he puts multiple advertisements for like going to his Patreon and stuff like that. It just shows that he doesn't really take any of it seriously. It feels like this response was just made to capitalize off drama clicks. Like, you know, I just feel like he's never serious anymore. It's always in this act, in this character. You know, I might as well plug something too, since I'm responding to it. Make sure you check out my second channel, Huge Charles, where I'm posting short content and exclusive shit over there. The link will be in the description below. That's Huge Charles, baby. But anyway, now to actually talk about the things Nick brings up that I think are very important to talk about. First of all, he talks about the people that went from my video to his to just be assholes. I always openly condemn this, and I should have again said don't go harass him, because it looks like people need a constant fucking reminder to not fucking harass people. You're not some kind of internet vigilante fighting for justice. That angry comment you left on Nick's video isn't going to help him. You're just being a fucking douchebag. And I completely sincerely apologize for overlooking the fact that I need to remind people how to behave online. I always absolutely fucking hate. I've made 2 different videos on how much I hate when people go and harass people, but just from like YouTube videos and shit. It sucks. It fucking sucks. 100%. And Nick is absolutely in the right in calling that out. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's actually get into the fucking meat here and talk about some of the things Nick brings up. It's clear immediately that Nick misunderstood what I was saying in my video. I don't know if that's on purpose just for the sake of having like an aggressive response video for YouTube drama, or if he genuinely didn't understand what I was trying to say, but he makes it clear that he didn't get what I was going for right away.
I don't have the right to exist because I happen to be a little overweight. I'm being attacked for my weight, for my appearance. Apparently, I'm encouraging people to eat unwell. Excuse me!
I don't even understand at all where that last thing came from. I never made any point like that or even hinted at anything like that. I never said like Nikocado Avocado is a role model and he's encouraging people to eat like he does on camera. You know, I never said like, you know, these kids are going to watch Nikocado Avocado and then all of a sudden they're going to be fucking brainwashed by him. They're going to go out there and order 10 large fries and then a gravy to drink out of a toilet bowl. I never said anything like that. I never said that he's setting some kind of example for people to follow. All I was saying is the success he found with mukbangs has reinforced his decision to eat this way. I was also never focusing on his appearance or saying he doesn't have the right to live because he's overweight. I don't know where these are coming from. As far as appearance goes, me showing his 2017 body compared to his most recent one was used to show what the food is doing to him. If he was skinny and eating the way he does on camera, I would have the exact same criticisms. Because even when you're skinny, you can be very unhealthy, which is a point he makes. I wasn't saying skinny is the gold standard. He also brings up some demons from his past that I didn't know about. I didn't get the full extended lore of Nikocado Avocado. I was under the assumption that he was healthier back then because, contrary to what he says in the video, I am very familiar with him. I've watched his content for a while. I've watched the transformation, but apparently I've missed some arcs along the way in his anime. He mentioned back during those days with the photos I showed he had an eating disorder, even mentioned a tooth rotting out, and that he generally didn't feel like he was healthy back then. And I didn't know any of those things. What I saw on camera was him eating healthy food, preaching about healthy food options and lifestyles, as well as fitness and stuff like that. So I was under the impression that he was healthy during those days, but maybe he wasn't. But he's also not healthy now. I'm not Nick's dad. I'm not here to slap the fucking cheeseburgers out of his hand or anything. I showed these photos because it shows a complete transformation from one body type to another, and it shows that there is still an eating disorder present. And I feel like it's reinforced by his audience on YouTube that encourage it, which is something he mentions in his videos from time to time. He says things like, you guys are doing this, and I think he's right. I think seeing those numbers grow and seeing those big numbers has completely reinforced the idea that in order to be successful, he has to keep eating this way, so he feels trapped to do it. That's the point I was making. It is a very unhealthy lifestyle. It doesn't have to do with his weight or his appearance. It has to do with what he's eating on camera and how often he's doing it. Take, for example, Matt Stoney. Matt Stoney will do these incredible food challenges. He'll eat fucking 20,000, 30, 40,000 calorie meals in a single sitting in under an hour for a YouTube video, and they're fucking awesome. That's nuts to butts action. Matt Stoney eating the fuck out of 20 burritos at a time, double fisting 1,000 tacos tacos per hand. It's incredible stuff. And it's so much food and so many calories. But Matt Stoney does that once every few weeks, once a month maybe. Nikocado Avocado is doing something comparable almost every single day. Over the last week or so, he's posted a mukbang every single day pretty much. So he's eating these thousands and thousands of calories every day. It's very different. The frequency is completely different. Or let me rephrase this. It seems like he does it almost every day since he is posting them almost every day. Now, I do know, at least on a few occasions, he's done multiple mukbangs in one day. And that's still a lot. That's still a ton. So the point is, it's very different. I'm not targeting Nikocado Avocado because of his weight or anything. I was talking about him in this whole situation because it feels like his audience has reinforced his eating disorder, which is taking a negative effect on his overall health. If Nikocado Avocado did not find success on YouTube and be known for eating such massive meals, he would not have gained the 200 pounds in 3 or so years. Gaining that much weight in that amount of time is not healthy by anyone's standards, no matter what doctor or what website you check. It is extremely rapid weight gain, and I don't think it would have happened had he not found success with this kind of mukbanging content on YouTube. He would probably not eat like this. And like I said, if he was skinny and still doing this exact content the exact same way, my criticisms would remain exactly the same. It is an unhealthy diet and an unhealthy lifestyle, as evident by the 200 pounds he gained, which is a lot in a short amount of time, and also the amount of times that he is crying on camera and breaking down. It seems like overall, this content has led him down a path where he is unhealthy and unhappy. My focus wasn't, look at Nick and all of this weight he gained, ewy. It was, how has Nick completely transformed over the last 4 years, and what role did his content play in that transformation? He is completely different now mentally and physically than he was 4 years ago. Nowadays, he's known for crying all the time on camera while eating. It's become one of his big things, like a staple in his content. He is constantly breaking down and crying while eating, which seems like he's much more unhappy now. And physically, he's completely different. He requires a mobility scooter now when he goes out in public. You'll see it in his TikToks, you'll see it in his videos. When he is at a store, he requires a mobility scooter. So what I was looking at in my video was how his content and his YouTube success played a role in this transformation.
Making some of the most revolting noises I've heard in quite some time while undergoing some kind of exorcism.
And me. Who are you? I haven't said anything that you're revolting and you're disgusting.
Yeah, I didn't say that about you either, Nick. I was talking about that shtick you do in your videos where you make a yucky noise. That's what I was talking about. And I think you know that, but you tried to use that as a way to spin it like I was calling you revolting and disgusting for your weight or something like that, which I absolutely wasn't. I was talking about that ongoing joke you have where you make noises and faces like that. I was just saying I find that to be off-putting. He calls them a hairball, which is obviously him kidding around, and I just called it gross because I don't really like those noises. And I'm sure he knows what I was talking about here, but just found it to be easy ammunition to make me look really shitty. So he was able to spin it like, look, he's calling me revolting and gross, he's being a big asshole, which I wasn't. I was just talking about that hairball thing that he does. This video is going to be really long if I keep going through every point he makes, to be honest. We're not even like half of the way through the response, so I just want to focus on the next few big things that he brings up that I think are very important to talk about. He says that I am incorrect about like the nurse, like the full-time nurse to take care of him, and that's entirely possible. I've tried to keep up with his videos recently to make sure I get the full story, but for me it is very hard to sit through a full mukbang from him because it's just sad to see. I'll just be straight up honest. It's hard for me to watch all of them, so sometimes I'll go to Twitter to read threads about Nikocado Avocado to be kept up to date, and I recalled reading about a nurse that had to be on standby in order to make sure that he was able to go about his activities. This, he has said, is incorrect, so I do apologize for that. That information that I got there was wrong. 100%, and I'll take full responsibility for being incorrect on that point. Now, one thing he is blatantly wrong about, and I don't know if this is on purpose to make me look bad or something, he keeps saying that I call his viewers fat, or I am constantly talking about him being fat and gross. Two things I've never said anywhere in that video. I never said his viewers are fat or insulting his viewers. I was saying his viewers are enabling him to keep doing some of this content. And that, I stand by 100%. You can even see it on this response video. There were so many comments saying, don't listen to him, and when are you doing your next big mukbang? I love to watch you eat this and that and that. Like, that's enabling. That's the very definition of enabling. It's enabling a bad habit. And it keeps you doing these same things which have had a negative effect on your health. But that's not me all of a sudden saying all your viewers are fat pigs that are gross and yucky, ooh, cooties, yucky, gross pigs in your comments. I never said anything like that. And I don't know why he tries to hint like that. And I don't know if it's on purpose or by accident. I think it's supposed to like make his viewers mad at me, like, can you believe what this guy is saying about us? Which I never did. What I was saying about your audience is that they keep you doing these unhealthy things, which they absolutely are. I wasn't calling you gross. I never said any of that. I said that they are keeping you doing this unhealthy kind of content, which you've done for a few years now, which has negatively affected your health. And I'll say it again, because that was the point of the video, and that was the point I was making. It's not all your audience's fault. You are making the conscious decision to continue this content and really focus on those numbers, but they do obviously play a role in it. The next thing he talks about is this machine that he's had in every thumbnail for like the last 2 weeks. He says he's actually had this since he was a kid, and it's nothing new, unrelated to mukbangs and all that. Okay, fair enough. Let's say that's true. Maybe it is. It probably is. I don't see why he'd lie about it. But then why all of a sudden now are you putting it so prominently in every thumbnail and every title talking about being disabled and doing a disabled mukbang? Why are you just now showing this off then? It leads your viewers to believe that the situation's a lot more dire than it is, and you're doing it on purpose. You're trying to garner more sympathy out of the situation by having this machine here. It makes it seem like your health is on a really rapid decline. And I think the reason you're doing that is to get more views on it, because when people see that you're in distress, they want to see what's going on and want to make sure everything's okay. So if you truly have had this machine for that long, why are you all of a sudden now showing it off like this in the context of being disabled? So it's pretty fucked up. And I don't want this video to keep dragging on, so the last thing I'll talk about is the broken ribs thing, the subject of like his disabled mukbangs. As I mentioned, he's been kind of jumping around just fine. In this video, he comes stomping in, jumping around just fine. He's not coughing at all in this video, which he's coughed in all the other ones, and then like cried out in pain, like yelling about how much pain he's in. On TikTok, he's doing just fine, moving around, jumping, stomping. Either way, that whole situation seems to be all honky-dory now, so that's great. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. I feel like he completely missed the point of what I was saying with my video. I wasn't trying to call him all kinds of disgusting names or anything like that. I don't even know where he would have gotten that from. Maybe just a complete misunderstanding. I'm not sure, but either way, I still find the entire situation sad. His response didn't change my perspective on everything going on over there. I still think it is all a very sad situation. I feel like if Nikocado Avocado was not a successful YouTuber, he would not be doing these kind of mukbangs or eating this way. I feel like that's only there because of the success he's found with these videos, and his response did not change my perspective on that. It didn't change my opinion on it, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Last night I went to bed really early. I was just all tuckered out, so I said, "Goodbye, moon," and I snuggled on into bed to catch some Z's. Little did I know that while I slumbered, we'd all been paid a visit by someone very special. And I'm not talking about Santa Claus, but I am talking about another man in a red shirt. Nikocado Avocado. I woke up this morning in a different timeline. I think we shifted back to the Berenstain Bears universe and left the Berenstain Bears universe behind.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment for my entire life. So I am the villain, because I've made myself one.
This moment right here is this generation's I Am Your Father. This is up there with the Darth Vader identity reveal. Perhaps one of the most unexpected things I've seen in quite some time. When I was watching this, I let out an audible whoa. Like, I couldn't help myself. My body responded without any other part of me having say-so over it. My body itself, my soul, was shocked when he took the mask off there. So he gives like a villain monologue that sounds like it's out of the Fallout universe, talking about how he's 2 steps ahead because he had played the villain for so long now.
Today I woke up from a very long dream, and I also woke up having lost 250 pounds off of my body. Yet just yesterday, people were calling me fat and sick and boring.
Losing 250 pounds is an unbelievable feat that's nothing shy of extraordinary. And he mentions how even yesterday, YouTubers and many other people were calling him sad, fat, depressing, sick, and all of that, and still making videos about him, even while he secretly, over the course of 2 years, had been losing all of that weight. And all the videos that people were talking about were actually videos that Nikocado had filmed 2 years prior and kept drip feeding to the community to keep them either entertained or keep himself fanning the flames of drama for people to latch on to. It is actually very fascinating. Now, some of you might recall about 4 years ago, Nikocado, Avocado, and myself had a tiny bit of beef. I'm talking like a Salisbury steak level of beef between us, and we had a bit of a tinkle tussle back and forth pissing contest, and boo! Fact check jump scare. I wanted to double check when all of that took place, so I looked at it. It turns out it was 2021 AD. It was late September, so it's coming up on 3 years, not 4. I was a little off on that. Time moves very weird now. I don't know what happened, but time is moving at a different speed than it used to. After all that drama, I had actually kept up with Nikocado Avocado, occasionally just tuning in to check and see what's going on. I made a video like a year ago on a piece of content that Nick dropped where he actually did talk about a weight loss journey that he was going on, and I've kind of just been cheering him on from the sidelines ever since then, just hoping that he'd follow through on that and just to see where it all goes. So to see this come up was not only extremely surprising, just given how much weight he had lost in a relatively short period of time. I know to a lot of people 2 years, like on the internet terms, that's like ancient history. Things that happened 2 years ago, that might as well be the fucking void century that no one remembers. But like speaking realistically, 2 years to lose 250 pounds, that's a speed run. Those are gold splits.
I haven't made a video for like 2 years, and this is where I'm posting now on this channel, so I hope you consider subscribing if you want. I'm actually posting more next week, so yeah, that would mean a lot to me.
On his second channel, he mentions that it's been 2 years since he's made a video, so you can piece little breadcrumbs together in your head and follow this path here, connecting the dots. He has released videos on all of his channels over the course of 2 years. Quite a few of them. Not to the same frequency that he used to, but he still had a ton of videos that he's releasing over the last 2 years. Videos that were posted 2 weeks ago, or even as recent as 5 days ago, where he is that same weight, were all apparently recorded years ago. And it's not like it's CGI and it's not AI generated content. Nick actually just had a crazy backlog, like the Library of Alexandria for mukbangs, and he just kept going to the vault to upload some of that old pre-recorded content as if it was new, and people were none the wiser. I even went through these 2 videos here in particular just to see if I could find like a date somewhere on like his phone, or when he went to the Heart Attack Grill, like maybe like a calendar sticking on a wall, but I didn't see anything. Maybe I missed it. I did kind of go through it like 2x speed, so maybe it like flashed by really quick and I just didn't see it. But I do believe him that these were recorded years ago, because that's the only logical explanation for how he is 250 pounds down right now, yet 5 days ago he has a video at the Heart Attack Grill where he's still like 400 pounds or whatever it was. Dude was playing chess while the rest of us were playing checkers. He played us like a goddamn violin, and Nick loves the violin. Many of you might not remember this from the Nick Expanded Universe, the lore, but he was actually an incredible violin player. He was more decorated than like Captain America in terms of accolades when it came to this. Like in his field of violin, he was a very well-regarded, talented player. And he came out here and just fucking Gangnam styled on us. He really did play us like a sweet melody on that instrument.
It was a long 8 years, wasn't it? It was a long 8 years. And I didn't think that it would have gone this long, but it did. And it was like a bad dream that, yeah, it was like a really bad dream that we were waiting for it to be over. And it's over. It was just a dream.
For a long time, Nick became synonymous with breakdowns on camera. Nick and breakdown went together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that's something people talked about a lot, but then always talked about how it was always fake for views and drama and controversy. I have always somewhat believed that there was always an element of truth to some of the things Nick was saying. I really do believe that Nick was miserable with what he was doing, but felt like he had to keep doing it because that was his source of income. That was his livelihood. And he was probably very afraid to just stop doing that. Which is completely understandable, because if people are subscribing to watch you eat yourself to death and you stop doing that, they might leave. And now you've got your ass in your asshole and no money being generated anymore because the audience left from you not doing the content they wanted you to be doing. And I really do feel like he felt like he was a prisoner to that for a while. I'm not trying to be an armchair psychologist here, it's just I've watched a lot of Nick's content and it really does feel like there is a lot of truth to some of the things he has said during these moments. And the way he talks about it here, calling it a bad dream, isn't exactly a glowing review of that time. You know, if someone said that to me, like, hey Charles, I know we spent 8 years together, but it's kind of just like a bad dream I'm done with, I wouldn't exactly be smiling from ear to ear about that. But now Nick has made some big changes, clearly, and his audience is extremely supportive. They are very receptive to this, cheering him on in a big way, pumping their fist and celebrating this. The video on his main channel about it is exploding. The video on his second channel is exploding. He's made 2 videos and both are popping the fuck off. His community is showing nothing but love and oodles of support for this. And it's what people have said for a long time, that if Nick actually did go through this weight loss journey, it'd probably be extremely good for him. Like, not only health-wise, but like in terms of his channels and like his community. It's inspirational. Like, people would love to see that, and I think it's clearly showing here. And it's not like Nick has to stop doing mukbangs just because he loses a lot of weight. And it seems like he is going to continue to do mukbangs because he loves doing them.
We were all just dreaming. Cheers. And I love being a mukbanger. I love food. I like eating food. And I like being here. So let me know what you think.
Just because he's lost 250 pounds doesn't mean that he's washed and you need to hang the jersey in the rafters and retire his jersey number. You know, like, he can still keep doing mukbangs the same way he was before, but now in a healthier place. And like I said last time when he had lost, I think it was like 89 pounds at the time, he seems happier. You know, like, I'm not his therapist. I don't know Nick personally, but just from what comes across in the content, he seems happier at lower weights. Like, in the content where he weighs less, he actually just seems like a happier person. At least that's the impression I get watching it. So it's really something to celebrate here with what Nick has been able to accomplish. And I really am happy to see that the reception to it has been overwhelmingly positive. It is incredible work. This is an effort that is extremely impressive. I'm also really curious and excited to see what Nick does going forward. If he's going to continue to do like exclusively mukbangs, or maybe he's going to talk about this weight loss journey that he secretly went on for a long period of time. I'd be really interested to see like what he did to lose all of that weight so quickly. I think that'd be really interesting content if he talked about it, or, you know, showcased, you know, maybe some of the things he was doing for cardio, or if he was doing weight training, what that looked like. I think that'd be really good bangers, like if he made content around that as well. While still, of course, having mukbang be the bread and butter, I think it'd be cool now if he would supplement it with things about this weight loss journey. The violin, I think, would be cool to bring back, because if you look at Nick's older videos, he really is like a fucking wizard with that instrument. I think there's a lot of potential and a lot of possibility with where Nick currently is. And it's nothing but positives here. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, that's it. So yeah. Yeah, I know, I'm the millionth person talking about this situation, but how can I help myself? I'm an addict, and my drug of choice is silliness. Goofy stories are the spaghetti and I'm the meatball. I can't resist. So, many of you have probably already seen, the biggest YouTube live streamer, IShowSpeed, just had a bit of a whoopsie-daisy moment on stream. He was playing Five Nights at Freddy's and Chica jump-scared him, and his penis fell out of his shorts. Now you might be asking yourself, how is this possible? What kind of paranormal activity took place here? Did Chica crawl out of the screen and pull his dick out for him on camera? Like, how did this go wrong? What a weird response to fear. to expose yourself after you get frightened. I know Five Nights at Freddy's fandom can get a little wild, but I mean, this is next level. So what exactly happened? Well, IShowSpeed was playing a Five Nights at Freddy's game, and Chica gave him a spook, said, "Boo!" And in response to the jump scare, Speed stood up, saying that he wanted to fuck Chica, and he was thrusting at the camera. One thing led to another, and then bang, penis. So, as you can imagine, this was a pretty embarrassing moment that, of course, blew up online. More like I show meat, am I right? This situation could lead to an extended vacation from YouTube streaming because nudity is against their rules, but there's a chance that they don't enforce it super strict here since it was an accident. They have been somewhat loosey-goosey on these rules in the past. Like, even just a month ago, there was a channel that blew up thanks to a viral video they made of a guy naring his butthole. Just full asshole on display, no censorship, nothing like that. It's just his brown balloon knot getting nared. And it was totally fine, still on the platform. And that's thanks to their educational content override policy where you can have things like a chocolate starfish getting de-haired without censorship, and it's okay because there's educational context around it. Though in this case, with the IShowSpeed cock situation, I don't exactly know what argument you'd make for it being educational unless it's like this is educational because it demonstrates how not to react to a jump scare, I guess. I don't know. But since it's accidental, they might have some flexibility on not, like, banning him for it outright. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens with it, but I don't think this is going to end up with, like, the termination of his account or anything. But he may get some kind of community guideline strike, which would prevent him from streaming for a certain period of time. And to think this whole situation could have been avoided if he just wore underwear. This isn't a segue into an ad or anything like that. I was just thinking to myself, when was the last time I wore pants without underwear? And it's been so long. I'm 29 years old now, so I've started to get those old man nuts that hang real low and just bounce around chaotically. So if they're not supported by underpants, those bastards will just be swinging around like they're playing a game of tetherball with each other. My testicles will just be going hog wild down there, and it doesn't feel great. So I couldn't even imagine myself, like, jumping around and being active without undergarments on. I would injure myself very quickly. Now, of course, when it comes to on-stream wiener moments, the great dark side Phil always comes up, because DSP has one of the most iconic stream clips of all time where he didn't realize he was live and then started masturbating. But you couldn't see any shaft or anything. The schlong was still left to the imagination. He did finish. He tilts his head back in ecstasy as he finishes, but you never saw anything. In this case, he actually does just have his entire cock out on screen for a moment. He flashed the entire screen. So it's definitely more extreme than the Dark Side Phil event. And the whole thing has obviously led to a lot of discussion around, like, what's going to happen next, because clearly this is a violation of rules, but it also appears like it was an accident. So how harsh is the punishment going to be? And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see there. It does seem accidental. I think he wanted to have, like, an over-the-top overreaction to jump scares that a lot of streamers and YouTubers do, and he just went too far with it, leading to just this disastrous wardrobe malfunction moment. Now, a lot of people have also started saying that, you know, maybe this was a calculated plan and he's about to announce his signing with Kick now that he can't stream on YouTube, assuming he does get a strike for this. And I have to say, that's a pretty interesting theory, because I don't think this was a premeditated scheme. He didn't pull his cock out and start dangling it in front of the webcam like he was giving a puppet show or anything like that. It does seem like it was unintentional, the result of overreacting to a jump scare. I don't see this as like a, you know, maybe a grand departure from YouTube streaming where he's like, you know what, it's time I ride off into the sunset. I'm kind of tired of streaming. I'm going to retire the jersey number here. We're done. But I want to go out with a triumphant bang, an exit no one will see coming. Like, I don't think he came in here to try and subvert viewers' expectations like it was Game of Thrones Season 8 here with a fucking penis jump scare. Like, I don't think this was a plan. If it was, this could lead to, like, huge trouble for him, actually, I would imagine. He knows his audience skews on the much younger side of things. A lot of the IShowSpeed audience is young, and a lot of those kids were probably watching this stream, especially considering it's Five Nights at Freddy's, which is predominantly a kid's property that they really resonate with. So I don't think the idea would have crossed his mind like good content would be exposing myself in front of all of these viewers, many of which are minors. Like, I highly doubt that was a thought that crossed his mind. Now, of course, the fact that it still happened is awful, but I just really don't think it was a plan. Of course, the overreaction to the jump scare is a plan. Like, that was definitely something he decided he was going to do with, like, going crazy about the jump scare. But everything that happened after that, I don't think was some kind of calculated plot. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. That's really about it. So yeah. Yesterday, iDubbbz posted a YouTube video that's become extremely divisive. I haven't seen people this divided on a singular topic since the red and blue dress debate. The video he posted was basically an apology for the content he made in the past, apologizing for it being hurtful or damaging, and a whole myriad of other things that he wanted to come forward with, and talking about how he's changed as a person and thus his content will be changing. He goes over like insecurities of his past, and overall he just invites the audience into the back of the kitchen to see how the sausage is made and meet the chef. And for a lot of people, they didn't want to meet the chef. He's being very open and honest about his feelings on his older self and now his current mentality, how he feels better and healthier and doesn't like what he did in the past and didn't like who he used to be. So it's a whole apology video for all of that. He releases more feelings in this video than Pandora's Box, and I kind of want to go over this whole situation because I have a lot of thoughts on the topic, not only as it pertains to iDubbbz in particular, but just in the general creator space. There's a few things that I want to talk about here.
For a while, I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value, but I'm starting to realize that that is a very weak and passive way to, run my channel and live my life.
I'm sorry to immediately come in here with the Phoenix Wright objection, but I completely disagree with the sentiment that it's weak or passive to change your content and expect people to see that as a reflection of yourself. That's pretty much the optimal way of handling any kind of situation in which you're not comfortable with either your audience or the content you've been making. By changing the content over time, you're changing the audience over time as well, obviously, right? The people that subscribed for your previous catalog of content might not stick around for the stuff you start creating when it goes in a different direction, and that's a totally fine thing. I don't think there's anything weak about just making different content and growing individually without having to come forward and share that growth with your audience. At the end of the day, your subscribers aren't your friends. You don't know them and they don't know you. That's the brass tacks of it. Sorry to blast the cold water in your face first thing in the morning. You don't owe them an explanation for why you're changing your content. You're welcome to tell them. I think that's totally within your right to do, but I really disagree that it's weak if you don't explain why you're changing your content. You can just make different stuff and go in that direction where you're happier without ever really needing to come forward and like really lecture on why.
I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made. So that's what this video is. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel. And I've also created a culture of apathy and a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, some of the videos I've made have been very not edgy. I don't think they some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
It sucks to hear that this is how he thinks about his old content and his old self. It's always a very difficult realization when you look back on, the you of a few years ago disappointed. Like, I used to be 5'6", and I still am, but it sucks to realize that I was then too, and have been for a long time. Point is, he wasn't happy with the content he made or the person he was, and now he's trying to apologize for the videos he made. And I, once again, have to completely disagree with the way he looks at it. I feel like his perspective on it is very warped by the way the internet has evolved over the years. The way he talks about this content makes it sound like he used to fucking murder puppies for these videos, which it was never that extreme. I very much would consider it edgy. It was 2016 edginess in all of its glory. That was entirely the brand. And for its time, it lived peacefully. You know, all four nations, water, earth, fire, air, lived together in harmony with all this edginess going on. Now, obviously, times have changed, and he has changed. He's gotten older. He's in his 30s now. In your 30s, it's not exactly entertaining to just be spamming slurs for shock humor. I don't find that entertaining, and he doesn't either. So it's totally fine to want to distance yourself from making content like that. But I don't think it was a mistake that he made those videos. Like, they're not hurtful, nor do I really think they're damaging. Now, you could make an argument that they were hurtful to the people they were about, like the content cop on Tana or Leafy or any of that. You could say, like, you know, he hurt their feelings or sent harassment their way, which may have been a mental burden on them, and you could feel bad about that, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I don't think the goal of his content was ever to be hurtful or damaging. He was just trying to entertain and using edginess as shock humor, which for its time was acceptable online. Now, whether or not you think that's okay that it was ever acceptable, that's a different argument for a different day. But the point is, the point of his content wasn't to be hateful or hurtful. He really was just trying to entertain. At least that's how I and the majority of people viewed it. So I just don't think that the apology is really warranted. You can explain, like, I just don't like making that content anymore, so I won't. And be like, hey, I even regret making that content because it's kind of cringe now. That's all fine, but to think that it is this huge, massive problem, like you made an unforgivable mistake, is a little weird to me.
So I don't want people to, you know, get it confused about, you know, where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and you know, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end.
You shouldn't have to apologize for criticizing someone or something. Voicing your opinion on a subject is a totally natural thing to do. I get criticized, I criticize others, people criticize movies, games, music, all of that. And to try and vilify the idea of criticism being evil, I think is a little dangerous, because then you just create these echo chambers and no one ever really grows from that. I think it's totally fine if you regret the way you criticize things, the way you approach the subjects. If you regret how you handled it, that's okay. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that you were picking apart people for lackluster things. You seem to really look back negatively on all of the content cops, but whether you like it or not, you did make good points and good arguments against people who did deserve criticism. I feel like the main pain point of those videos he used to make is the slurs in them. Like, his catchphrase was 2 slurs strung together, right? Like, that's not exactly something to be super proud of. I get that. But to go back and say, like, all of it's shit, all of it's, you know, bad and cruel, I think is going way overboard, because it's not. I don't think any of it was cruel. I don't think the criticism was unwarranted, but it's fine to just regret the way you handled it to a certain extent without saying all the content was damaging or cruel or bad.
I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a real human who makes mistakes. And, you know, I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not.
I feel like there's a chance he may have been hit by a Men in Black neuralizer and had his memories rewritten of what that content actually was, because I never got the impression from those videos that he was morally grandstanding or that he was trying to pitch himself as superior to them morally. He never really tried to make himself seem like he was better than them. In fact, he would multiple times point out, like, his problems as well, and even give them advice on how they could have attacked him better in response, giving them ammo if they wanted to use against him. It all seemed very self-aware, not from like a moral grandstanding perspective, but just you were lending criticism in a goofy way to entertain your audience as well as provide legitimate points for why these people are doing bad things or have done bad things. For example, making a content comp on Leafy and bullying him the same way he'd bully the people in his videos, right? Like, that's not exactly the most cruel thing in the world. It's just making a point and making that point entertaining to your audience.
I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or like entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly. And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content. You do interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing.
Now, this subject right here is something that extends beyond the iDubbbz situation. It's the insecurity, especially with a creator who's found a lot of success with one branch of content, that fearfulness to try other things because you don't know how to be perceived and you're a little worried about your ability to even deliver something that's not the norm that your audience is used to. That's a very honest look into that mentality, and you see it all the time on the platform with people that have found success in one niche and they never leave it. And that's because there's always that fear that if you do, you'll lose your audience or you'll just not be good at it. So most people live in the exact same style of content forever. And that's how I was for like the first 8 or 9 years of this channel, doing nothing but gameplay and commentary videos, spouting the word nipple and titty and cum as much as I possibly could within the first 2 minutes and throughout the rest of the video. But eventually, you do take a risk and you try other things, and I always think that's the most fulfilling thing a creator can do, which is branch out from their niche. At least to try it, dip your toes in the deep end of that pool and give it a whirl.
I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos, and I justified it because, I didn't think it was too serious. And I thought that people were going to see that I had good intentions, but that's so silly, Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, I said a lot of things that I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say.
This I completely understand. That is totally normal to look back on that and cringe, right? In your 30s and really any age over 16, you're not exactly going to be getting a hearty ho 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 belly laugh just hearing a bunch of slurs being spammed. Real life isn't Call of Duty lobbies. I don't think many people in the real world are going to be like laughing and fist pumping hearing you just shout slurs as comedy. So that makes sense to look back on that and cringe. However, none of your videos came from a place of hate. At least I don't think so. I don't think you were ever a racist or a bigot or anything like that. You used those words for shock humor. That was the whole goal, the edgy shock humor of using those words. And you made it pretty clear that that was kind of your drive. And he does mention it in this video with the it's either all okay or none of it's okay mentality. But I really think most people were able to recognize that the things he was saying weren't coming from a place of legitimate hate. Now, you can of course still say that it's unacceptable that he was using slurs for shock humor and punchlines in his videos for the jokes. That's a totally fair perspective to have. But it's still, I think, a little ridiculous to make it seem like it was this big of a deal that it warranted a whole apology video in which he makes it seem like he'll never truly find forgiveness and he'll never forgive himself for it, for saying the slurs in the videos and making the content he did. Because again, like, he's talking about it like he's a fucking reformed racist, like he was actually a racist and now he's not, when I don't think that was the case. He was an edgelord, and that's it. I feel like this whole video could have just been summed up very easily like, hey guys, it was fucking 2016. I was edgy, and now I think it's cringy, so I don't want to do that anymore, and we're closing the book. That we're shutting that chapter down, putting the kibosh on it. Now we're doing some other stuff. And that would have been a totally fine explanation. A lot of people would have still would have been disappointed, of course, in his audience that liked that content. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't feel like a prisoner to your audience. You should make what makes you happiest to create. Like, I don't think you should have felt obligated to make this video. Like, I don't think this situation was so damaging that it warranted this kind of, like, fucking presidential press conference here over it and apologizing for the content you made back then. You know, I don't think, like, you ruined lives because you made Content Cop. I don't think you made an entire generation of racists and bigots because you use slurs for shock humor. I think that's a very bastardized perspective of how people digest content online. Now, I have no doubt that his audience did cultivate some weirdo losers that probably were real racists somewhere in there that didn't really care about his message and just liked that he was saying the N-word. I have no doubt that existed in his community. But I don't think that was his goal, and there's always going to be weirdo losers. Of course, you can do your best to mitigate those people from feeling welcome in your community, but that all starts with just changing the content over time. Again, that's not a weak thing to do. That is not a weak or passive approach. The vilifying of your own audience and your previous content, I don't think is the right way of even looking at the content you used to make or the audience that you had. Of course, there were bad actors in there, but not everyone was. And to make them feel like they were if they liked your content is a little weird. And I don't think that's the goal of this video by any means, but it does come across that way. Like, you weren't a bad person if you were laughing at his content cops or anything like that. And I don't think he was a bad person for making those content cops in the first place.
I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it. This is something that I should live the rest of my life with, and I expect to. I've profited off of this bigoted content for years, and I've made a successful career out of it, and that's not right. I think that this is only a step in the right direction, and I know that a lot more needs to be done to even approach a life that I would think would be like acceptable.
You don't deserve to be fucking publicly flogged with tomatoes thrown at you for the rest of your life and skinned alive because you made edgy videos in 2016, man. It's just not that big of a deal. It feels horrible hearing this from him, knowing that it weighs so heavily on his mind that he made these videos, so he feels like he's a real piece of shit for doing it. You just made edgy YouTube videos. You didn't ruin anybody's life. You didn't create a fucking army of racists and bigots. The content itself isn't bigoted content either. You used edgy shock humor. And I don't think that makes you a bigot that you're going to have to atone for those sins for the rest of your life over.
I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video I'm going to match and donate to an organization that would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this channel. And again, this isn't the end of what I'm doing. This is just the start.
You'll get no complaints from me here. I'm always on the side of helping people, so anything charitable, I'm always for. Though I don't think it was necessary or anything, I still think that's a nice gesture regardless. But he uses the word rhetoric here. And that again makes it sound like these videos were coming from like a legitimate racist, which I don't think they were. I really don't. At least I don't want to believe that iDubbbz used to be a racist and he was using that to try and, propel his beliefs forward. He really it seems like he was really just using these words as shock humor, which is cringy, sure. Very cringy, and that is absolutely fine to point out. But it doesn't strike me as something that was genuinely ruining people's lives hearing that kind of shit. It's just kind of like an eye-rolling thing to look back on now, like, ugh, that's fucking lame. And that's really it. I just don't think it goes too much deeper than that. Like I said, I have no doubt there really were some dangerous weirdos that did hold dangerous beliefs in his community. But I don't think he made them. I think they were there when they found his content to begin with, and they stuck around because they just liked hearing the edgy words spoken out loud. That's it. I don't think he made them. He wasn't the Frankenstein to their monster. Now, I don't want to just keep dissecting every single piece of the video here. I want to kind of branch this out into a broader talking point about when a creator starts to resent the audience and community they've fostered. Because that's fundamentally what's happened here. iDubbbz has grown up now, he doesn't like what he made when he was younger, and he doesn't like the audience that he made along the way, along the journey. He mentions a couple of times in the videos, like, some of these eureka moments where he's like, man, this is really fucking frustrating, the people that are in my audience. Well, he doesn't blatantly say that, but he tells a couple anecdotes about, you know, going to conventions and meeting fans and it being kind of like this mirror held up to him that he didn't like the reflection of. And that's a very interesting and unfortunately pretty common thing to have happen online, where someone spends a long time building their brand and building their audience. And as they grow, they start to really resent the audience that they have. And usually this comes in one of two forms, where you have someone like Darkside Phil. I've used him as an example before, but he has an audience that he doesn't seem to really like, but he needs them because they pay his bills. So he has to constantly keep doing the same things in order to keep the lights on. And I imagine he feels trapped by his viewers because he has to keep doing this song and dance in order to get the money from them, but doesn't like what he's doing. And it also happens to other creators as well who spend a long time building their identity online, but they don't like what they're doing and they don't like the people that are watching them. So then they try and make some kind of change and then get eaten alive by their community, which only further reinforces their disdain for them, which leads to a really toxic community where everyone's at each other's throats. There's countless examples of that. Point is, that experience online is all too common. And when it does happen, a creator's left with a choice. They either just suck it up and keep making the shit that they clap for, even though it doesn't make them happy and they don't like the audience that's clapping for them, or they try and change the content and grow a different kind of audience, which is always the scarier option. That's always the more uncertain one, because maybe no one likes it, and now you've lost that audience you built up, and now your career is in jeopardy. You might not be able to keep the lights on by doing this career anymore, because now you've alienated them, gone in a different direction, and it hasn't worked out. So the majority of creators in this position just kind of suck it up, rub some dirt in it, and just keep doing the same shit over and over, even if it makes them miserable. And that's why you'll see a lot of creators burn out. So I'll always respect the creators that choose the harder path here of pivoting and changing their content, doing what makes them happier, even if it means taking that huge risk of losing the audience you've built up over time. Even though I disagree with iDubbbz's perspective on his older content being damaging or dangerous or indoctrinating, I still do respect that he didn't like what he was doing, so now he's doing something that he likes more. Even though it is coming at the risk of losing his audience, he'll find happiness in the content that he makes going forward, and maybe he's happier with the new audience that he potentially cultivates through all of it. So, but anyway, just kind of wanted to talk about this whole situation. That's about it. See ya.